Hello everybody and welcome back. In this next lesson we're going to be talking about expressions in coding. So first of all, what is coding? Now ultimately coding boils down to communicating with the software, with Houdini, through logical lines of text. Okay, so something like this. But this can be extremely scary and intimidating. When you open up, you see some code, this giant chunk of text, and you'd have no idea what's happening, right? But if you've been using Houdini for a little while, even just a couple of months, and you think back to when you first started using Houdini, and you saw a network like this, it was just as scary, just as intimidating, very confusing. You don't know where to start. What are these connections? Why are these ones? Why is that one gray? Why are they plugged into multiple ones? It's very, very confusing. But you don't learn Houdini like this. You start by learning what some of the nodes do, and you build up a small little network of nodes. And slowly but surely you build it up more and more, and eventually you reach this size of a network. And then you kind of, the intimidation, the fear is gone. So then you open up another scene, another tool, and the network looks like this, and you don't get, confused and flustered. You just start from the beginning, you click through all the nodes, you figure out what's happening, and then you start changing it and doing whatever you need to. Okay? Well, we're going to apply that exact same logic, that exact same method of learning to code. Okay? This is great, but this is not where we're going to start. This is where we're going to end up, and by the time we get to this point, you'll understand what all of this does. And yes, this is actually exactly where we're going to end up, because this, as you can see, is the final project that we're going to be working on. So this is that slime system I was talking about. This is just literally based on an animated curve in the beginning here, like this. And we're just carving along the curve, and then just through VEX we're doing all the rest of it, and at the end we're ending up with this result. So it climbs and creeps and warps over the rock. It sticks to the pillar, it reaches out for the ground, it's even reaching out for the wall because it knows that that's where it's headed. So a very cool system, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun to build together, but don't be intimidated by it, because by the time we reach this point you will understand what each of these expressions is doing, and each expression is like learning each node, and we're going to build it up one bit at a time, and then eventually we're going to get there. So instead of starting in a very complex place, this is why I said we're going to begin this week with learning a little bit of Houdini expressions in HScript, because it's a lot simpler to understand. So you see here I've got a basic box. Now in the y coordinate for the center point of this box, I've just got a very basic expression, and this is the type of stuff that we're going to begin with, okay? Just to make sure that you understand coding and that we're all on the same page, right? So all this got is a very simple expression here, linking the y size to this value, but then halving it. So all that's saying is essentially, it says to the box, take your height, halve it, and move up by that amount. The result of which means that the box actually sits on the ground. It sits on the origin. Even as I scale it up and down, it stays stuck to the ground. Okay. Whereas if we didn't have this expression, and this at default the center is 0, 0, 0, then we'd be scaling around the origin. Okay. Even if we move this up to be exactly half, okay, so it is sitting on the ground. If we then scale it up, you'll see it goes through the ground because it's scaling around the center point. Okay, but with our expression in there, we can then have it stay stuck to the ground no matter what happens. As we change the values, the result changes too. And this right here is proceduralism. This is why coding is so powerful. expressions are so powerful. This is why Houdini itself is so powerful, because essentially Houdini is just visual-based coding anyway. It's node-based codes. Every node is just a little snippet of code. I mean, yes, obviously the wrangle nodes with snippets of code, but even something like this smooth node is just a bunch of lines of code. It's just that that's all happening behind the scenes, and you're looking at the parameters on the front. So if we can learn how to write that code, then we can essentially build nodes that do whatever we want them to do. Okay? And that's what we're going to be doing together. So hopefully that'll help eliminate the fear of coding, and we're going to build it up one step at a time and build the most powerful things. And ultimately, the real goal is that you'll be able to write whatever lines of code you want and build a node that can accomplish any result that you need. Okay, so I'm very excited to do this with you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.